So the question is, during Teki'at HaShofar, should one be saying certain tefillot, or, for example, saying the viduim that appear in some of the sidurim? I'm not going to go into the question of whether it is or it is not hefsek. I'm going to go into the question of a person now is involved in performing a misvat aseh deoraita. Is that the time to be engaged in certain prayers, engaged in certain biduim? That's a question that I'm asking. And I think it's an important question, not only for Tekiyat HaShofar, but for other circumstances. I know that what I'm about to say puts me in a minority position, and I'm okay with it. So, for example, recently I performed a wedding. The Hatan came to me before the wedding. What should I be saying during the Huppa ceremony? What should I be saying at that time? I told him, what do you mean? Are you talking about the Kedushin, the Nisuin? He wasn't sure. I said, listen, during the Kedushin, you're performing Misvat Aseh Deoraita. And I explained to him what the Misvat is. It's Misvat Aseh Deoraita. Okay. I said, is there, during the rabbi's speech, when the rabbi is addressing you, during the rabbi's speech, you should be listening to the rabbi, right? During the Sheva Berachot are for the kavod of the Hatan and Kala, and we're giving him a berachot, that they should experience Gan Eden, the same way Adam and Hava experienced Gan Eden. Is that the time to be thinking about sick people in hospitals? We want sick people in hospitals to get out and to get to the Fuah Shalama. Of course we do. But this is a Hatan and Kala at the happiest moment of their lives. The Hatan is like a king, he's a king, and the Kala is like a queen, right? Se'ena wur'ena benot Zion ba'melech shalamo ba'atara she'etera lo immo b'yom hatunato u'b'yom simchat libo. There's no greater moment than this moment when you're under the Huppa and you're about to enter a spiritual Gan Eden, right? So at that moment, you got to start praying. There's a sick person. My neighbor is sick. Chas v'shalom bar minan shelo neda. Achu lo mezalzelim badai chas v'shalom. But that's not the time. That's not the time. During the Huppa, experience the Huppa. During the Kedushim, experience the Masah the Kedushim. During the Nisuim, experience Nisuim. Shlomo HaMelech says, and it's an important pasuk. It's a pasuk from Mishleh. It says, Simcha la'ish b'ma'aneh fiv. If a person knows how to answer properly, right? This gives you simcha. Not everybody knows how to answer properly. V'davar be'to matov. And everything has its time. So, is there a time to pray for the sick? Of course there is. Every time you say the Amidah 3 times a day, you should be praying for the sick. And you should have kavanah for chazat, the people who are sick. But let's say now, it's Tisha B'Av. You're reading Megillat Echa. Is that the time to pray to Hashem that, I should find a good kala? Let's say a person is not married. During Tisha B'Av, you pray to Hashem, please give me a kala, with all due respect. It's a Yom Evel. It's not a day to start, praying to Hashem about the kala. Wait till after Tisha B'Av. Wait till Tu B'Av. But not on Tisha B'Av. V'davar be'ito matov. A person now is in a wedding. Is he going to start talking about the terrible tragedy Bar Minan that happened to somebody else? Let's say somebody else had a tragedy. It's a wedding. It's a place of simcha. A person, conversely, is in a bet abelim. There's a halakha that you shouldn't even hold a baby in a bet abelim, because the baby is going to be mesiach datecha from the avlut. At Bar Minan, a person is in mourning, and I know the natural tendency, and we all do it, and it's natural, but it shouldn't be done. If a person is abel, he's not supposed to hold a baby. Why not? What's a haram? I'm holding a baby. Answer. V'davar be'ito matov. Everything has a time. So no, hatan and kala under the Huppa, they should be experiencing the Huppa, not thinking about all the list of people. There's a person who has problems with Panasa, another person is lost in Afghanistan, another person, I don't know, the 10 tribes, we'll never see them again. No, that's not the time to pray for the 10 tribes or the person lost in Afghanistan or for anybody else. It's the time to experience the beauty of the Nisuim. There's no more beautiful thing. Let's get back to Rosh Hashanah. When we hear the shofar, the mitzvah is to hear the shofar, not to blow the shofar. I mean, in order to hear the shofar, you need to blow the shofar, but the blowing the shofar is a type of machshireh mitzvah. It enables you to perform the mitzvah. So when you hear the shofar, at that moment you are in the presence of Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he is judging you. You are supposed to be in fear and in awe of the presence of your Creator. You are not supposed to be making Yehiratzono, please help me with this, help me with that. You have other days, you have Selihot, you have many times to ask for help. During the tefillot themselves, you can ask help. But during the shofar, it's out of respect for the king. Can you imagine a king? A king is entering the city, and there's a tremendous procession in his honor, going before the king and going after the king. And then the procession is beginning, and you're standing there, and there's people standing there, and you see all the emissaries of the king. And as the king is about to arrive, they blow the trumpets in his honor. And there is a silent awe. And what do you say? Your Majesty, I'm having trouble. Please help me. No, that is not the time to do that. This is a time to honor the king. It is not a time to honor yourself or to ask about yourself. And that would be very disrespectful and self-centered that you ruin the honor of the king because you want to think about yourself. That's the mashal. The nimshal is Tekiat HaShofar. During Tekiat HaShofar, le'aniyut dati, and I know that there's other sidurim, and I know that there are other practices. I'm not talking for mikubalim. If you are a mikubal, you do not need my advice, nor am I giving you advice. The mikubalim is something else. There's people who studied Kabbalah, that's on the side. They do what they do. If you're a mikubal, you're one of them, please do not take my advice. But if you are not a mikubal, if you're not a person who understands the Shara Kavanot of Ha'ari, if you're among those people who cannot read a single page of Shara Kavanot and understand it, and I think that I just covered about 99.999999% of the Jewish people, because really, who really knows how to study Shara Kavanot, who really understands it, Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, who really understands what these things mean, all the Sha'arim of Ha'ari. So if you're among those people, the very few who is a mikubal, don't take this advice. If you're not one of the mikubalim, then during Tekiat HaShofar, have a little anava. No, it's not a time to say hatati, aviti, pashati. Absolutely not. It is a time to stand there in awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and just experience his presence. Bir'ada, bihalhala, be'ema, be'ir'ah, with fear, with trepidation. Have respect for the presence of God. Tizku leshanim rabot.